Hi, I'm Maina Karaman-Wilms, and you're listening to The Decibel from the Globe and Mail. Birding is not just for retirees anymore. It's become its own subculture, with popular bird identification apps and rare bird alerts, podcasts that share fascinating facts, and social media groups teeming with beautiful photography and weird bird memes.
A part of it is, I think, it's a kind of a sense of having an extra sense. I mean, most people are walking along and they just hear tweet, tweet, chirp, chirp in the background.
Today, we're going on a bit of a journey into this birding world. We're heading into a park on the edge of Toronto with Globe columnist and bird lover Marcus G. and a few other colleagues. We'll take in what's known as the dawn chorus and tackle the age-old question: why do birds sing? This is The Decibel.
So we are at Colonel Sam Smith Park in Etobicoke, just west of Toronto. It's 6:20 in the morning. The light is just coming up, sort of pre-dawn, and we're here trying to listen to birds, what's called the dawn chorus of songbirds. To be honest, we're wondering what the heck we're doing here. It's kind of miserable and damp and really, really early. We're hoping the dawn will bring some nice sights, though. So we can just go, oh, what's that? Like that is a white-throated sparrow.
When you're out bird watching, you're not so much looking for an actual bird. You're looking for movement, and you're listening for sound. And then there's a bird there, and then you find the bird.
That's a cardinal. Yeah, there goes that cardinal. They're the virtuosos, I think. Birdsong.
So the call that we were hearing in the parking lot, the one that we all, can you do it?
Which one?
The call.
The cardinal one?
That sounds like an owl.
Well, it's sort of like people often mistake them for an owl.
Really?
It's a mourning dove.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of like.
Oh no, yes. That I was thinking of the cardinal sound and what it sounds like when it's doing the harmonizing.
Yeah, they do this cheer, 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 which is very bright and familiar.
Yes.
There's your cardinal going away there. Sounds like it's up in that tree. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There was a song sparrow. It's distinct from other sparrows in that it has a sort of dark dot on its breast and kind of striping on its breast.
Oh, no, there it is.
There's a song sparrow singing prettily right there. Yeah, it's that song and then that trill at the end, that kind of rising trill, I guess you'd call it at the end. That's very characteristic kind of summer countryside song.
There was a Redwing Blackbird, which is one of the early migrants, one of the first to arrive in the early spring. And that's kind of a harsh, trilling sound, also very, very typical.
Okay. Yeah, right there.
We heard a mallard duck simply quacking away. We heard a kingfisher, which has a really loud, kind of almost a laughing, cackling sound. Very, very distinct.
How our ears do that.
Well, there's the kingfisher.
Is that the like
like cackling laughing sound.
Then there's a cardinal, which is probably the most beautiful and outstanding sound you'll hear in the spring outdoors in open areas. A really bright, beautiful, almost tropical sounding song.
Sounds like it's up in that tree. Oh, there it is.
Marcus, what made you want to learn about why and how birds sing?
I mean, I've always been a little curious, but this winter, this cardinal started singing in the back lane behind my house, and it was February, which is way early, and this bird was just going at it all day. A beautiful, bright sound that made you think, "Oh, spring is actually coming," and I did just kind of get curious, like, how does this bird make such a bright, brilliant sound? I mean, a cardinal weighs less than a lemon. It could fit in the palm of your hand. It's a little bird, and it has this incredible mastery of the art of song.
So let's actually take that cardinal song for a moment and talk about that for a sec. So this is a recording that we're going to play that you took from your home of the cardinal that frequents your backyard. Marcus, how far away would you say that cardinal was when you recorded him on your phone?
It roams around a bit. Sometimes it was as close as just maybe 20 feet on a big tree right in my backyard. But its voice really carries. But sometimes it was quite close.
But if it was 20 feet away, that's still a bit of a distance there. And this is a tiny little bird, as you said. So how do they produce such a big song from a tiny little creature?
Yeah, they have this amazing instrument called a syrinx. And a syrinx is the voice box of a bird. It's their equivalent of our larynx, and except it's next level. It's way better than what we have. It has two sides. So a bird can, in effect, sing two songs at once and almost harmonize with itself. And that's what the cardinal does. And it takes mini breaths. And how a syrinx works is the air is forced through it and the membranes vibrate, and it's controlled by this series of tiny muscles. And so it's quite an evolutionary marvel. I mean, many millions of years old, because birds evolved from dinosaurs, but it really has. And of course, birds can do incredible things. They can mimic hundreds of some birds mimic other birds, and some are as loud as a chainsaw, and some kind of a whispery sound, and it's quite an amazing adaptation.
Just how big are these organs, these syrinx here?
Well, I mean, they're pretty tiny. I mean, you can imagine the voice box on a cardinal, which can fit in the palm of your hand, rather. They can be as small as a raindrop. That's a
raindrop, like tiny, tiny. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've talked about how birds sing, but what have you learned about why birds sing?
Yeah, well, it's a little more complicated than I expected. I mean, we know that birds sing to attract mates. It's basically a sign of fitness, and females are attracted to good singers. Mm-hmm. And then there's a sort of linked part, which is marking territory. So a cardinal will sing to show other male cardinals, this is my turf, back off. We now know that females sing more than we thought, and cardinals are one of the few birds in North America that does sing. They do it for a few reasons, we think. I mean, one is also territoriality. They may be telling other females, in essence, to back off. They sing often from the nest to the male, one study found. Other females, males and females sometimes of other species, do duets, which are quite remarkable.
Duets?
Yeah, and these duets are so well coordinated down to the millisecond that to the human ear, it sounds like a single bird singing, but it could be two birds, maybe hundreds of feet apart. Well, we're not fully sure why they do it, but one of the reasons may be kind of pair bonding, just to solidify the bond between the mates.
So, how did you learn to identify all of these different bird sounds, Marcus?
Well, I'm really bad at it. I have a very bad ear for birdsong, but there's an app called Merlin. For a while, you've been able to take pictures of birds and identify them with this app, but now you can just click it, records a song, and up pops the name of the bird you're hearing. It's quite miraculous.
Okay, Maddie, I'm going to use my Merlin app.
Okay.
It's a birdsong ID app, and it can differentiate all these different songs that are happening at the same time. So I'm pulling up Northern Cardinal so far. I guess I have to shut up for it to work though. Song Sparrow, Ring-billed Gull, Mourning Dove we got. See the spectrograph it's got there? Brown-headed cowbird. I haven't seen that.
And so when friends ask you now, Marcus, why do you go out at dawn to stare at the tops of trees and across ponds? What do you say about why you love to do this?
A part of it is, I think, it's a kind of a sense of having a feeling of having an extra sense. I mean, most people are walking along and they just hear tweet, tweet, chirp, chirp in the background. And if you're synced into the bird world and the songs and the look, you hear that song and you realize, oh, there's a bay-breasted warbler up there, or there's an oriole up there, and you have a kind of sense of being in on some big secret that other people aren't really hearing that, and it's a neat feeling.
So there's a lot of communication that is happening with these bird songs then. Would you go so far as to say that bird songs are maybe a kind of language for them?
That's a bit of a debate in the ornithological world. I think from what I've read, most scientists would not go as far as to call it a language. But there are language-like attributes of bird songs. For instance, one bird in Japan arranges its calls in different order according to the signal it's trying to send. For instance, if it's saying to its young, hide yourself, there's a hawk coming, it arranges these calls in a certain order. If it wants to say, I'm bringing food, for instance, that would be in a different order. And so that's similar to what in human language, we call it syntax, how we arrange words. So that's certainly language-like. We also know that birds have dialects. For instance,
birds have dialects?
Yeah, that's right. They sing differently according to where they live, and it's like, say, the accent of the Ottawa Valley in Canada is different from that of Toronto, or Newfoundland, way of speaking. Geographical differences are reinforced over time. So, for instance, cardinals in the Midwest of the U.S. sound different from the way they do in Toronto.
That's fascinating. Who knew?
That's right.
And so, if you are actually attuned to that, could people actually then tell the difference between an Ontario cardinal and a Minnesotan cardinal then?
Yeah, completely. If you study these things, they are quite distinct. And in one area, I think it was in California, they found 10 different dialects, even within a fairly small region. So those birds are so localized that they've developed this different way of singing, and they certainly can recognize different dialects, like, oh, that bird is from a different part of town. different hood.
Yeah. We heard a lot of, it was neat to hear the dawn chorus. It was really the pre-dawn chorus, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it started, we got here around 6 and there was already quite a clamor. And we heard all the classics. We heard a song sparrow, cardinal, redwing blackbird, all very distinctive. We saw the tree swallows trying to move into their nests. We saw a kingfisher with its very characteristic kind of laughing song. It was a good morning, I would say.
Yeah.
That's it for today. I'm Menaka Raman-Wilms. Our producers are Madeline White, Cheryl Sutherland, and Rachel Levy-McLaughlin. David Crosby edits the show. Kasia Mihailovich is our senior producer, and Angela Pacenza is our executive editor. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.